just last night, I was lost in the jungle with Pitfall Harry. Surrounded.
Holy crap, everything's different.
Oh my gosh.
It's also different and new.
It's also different
it.
and new. We fear change.
We fear change.
We fear change. Then we can grab a hammer and start beating the robot hand.
The robot hand on your desk that you built for some reason.
That's right. Apparently, for the past how long when playing this game, we haven't actually opened the game, so here we are. Debris will randomly float by the way.
Watch out!
I assume I'm steering, but it's not great. But we're here once again for another hype episode of the DG podcast. I decided after much deliberation to go through and just start revamping everything, and this has been a labor of the last couple days. So yeah, it's super exciting. Anyway, Jason, how are things?
Not bad. Finished an anime called Maoyu. I think that's how you say it. The subtitle is Hero and Archenemy. Basically, the hero goes off to kill the demon lord, the demon king, I should say, and finds out that the demon king is a she. And she's like, we need to end this war, and I love you. And so they hook up, and she starts modernizing things, and it's got kind of a sweet story, kind of a kind of funny, but the idealism, you can feel it a little bit too much. You know what I mean? Where it's a little bit preachy. Trying to think. There was some other stuff, but
I mean,
that's all I can recall at the moment.
Usually stuff gets pretty preachy.
Actually there was.
What's that?
Yeah. So I was thinking back to last week to the article that I brought up where they were talking about they were creating an AI that was taught on the writings of Tolkien, and how they could then use it to write other stories in his style. And I'm totally against that.
Sure.
Totally, utterly against that, except for two things. I would love to see what would happen if you trained it on Tolkien's writings and then said, write the War of the Rohirrim and the Rings of Power, and compare that to what we actually got.
I mean, you could get that through a sense of curiosity. The problem is this isn't actually Tolkien's work.
You're right.
So it'll look a lot like
if it was an AI trained on Tolkien's writings, I would wonder what the main differences. And like I said, this is mostly out of curiosity for me. The rest of it, I think it's horrendous, and I don't want to see any part of it. But I do kind of want to see what an AI trained to write in Tolkien style with his legendarium and all that stuff intact what would be the result, what we would actually get, as opposed to what we did get.
So you're just curious as to what it would do, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, all right. Ross, how's it going, champ?
Yeah. Well, Slugger, things are going good. Yeah, just I wasn't here, but I did watch. I can't remember if I told you I watched French Connection. It was great. It's a great movie. Old movies rock.
Old movies do rock.
I'm with you.
They're awesome. They're just so stylish. I mean, that movie has a goddamn car chase against a New York train, and it's more exciting than so much of what I've seen in the last few years. So,
as I recall, they didn't get permission to do that car chase scene in New York, and so they were totally doing it like in the early hours of the morning, so there was nobody on the street, and they were less likely to get caught.
Oh my god, just stealing shots. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And crashing cars in the street. Good lord.
Yeah, well, I've become extremely aware of the fact that since everything's CG now, nothing feels unique or valuable when they do it on screen, because it's not done on screen. Everything's cleaned up, added crashes, added whatever, which is more safe. Let's not be wrong. But the problem is, it just doesn't feel the same. It's like you go back and you watch a Mad Max movie and you're like, oh, some guy crashed that car. Like he super biffed it and rolled the car and damaged it, and somebody probably got injured.
Yeah.
And it's just, it doesn't feel the same.
Odds were high.
Well, I'm not saying I need somebody to be injured. I'm just saying it looks different. There's no threat or excitement when accidents happen on screen. One of the worst examples, I think it's called something like Gray Man on Netflix. Horrible movie. And they have a whole car chase that's practically entirely CGI. And it's gross because it just doesn't feel exciting. Even though it's a car chase, it's like, oh, these and that should tell you why the story doesn't work. Because the story isn't giving me emotional stakes. I'm just watching it and then being exposed to the fact that stuff is happening. So I don't care what's happening. Whereas if it was more realistic, I might feel something in the car chase where somebody gets wrecked, but I feel nothing because the story isn't even strong enough for me to care about the characters.
There's definitely a place for CGI and practical effects, and I think a lot of times you need to court a balance between the two. Do practical effects where you can. Where something might be too dangerous to do a practical effect, but at the same time, you're right. If there is no hint of danger, no actual imminent threat, then you lose a lot to the effect, and you're just like, oh, this is green screened, and
I'm not even talking about the filming style of there should be a balance between the two. I'm talking, I feel nothing. Like the perfect example I have is like Avatar. Because Avatar is almost entirely CG, if you eliminate the spectacle, if you eliminate sort of the beauty of the scene or what you're looking at, and if you just pull away and watch Avatar, because when I saw it, it was a Captain Jack Sparrow version on a small laptop. That's when I saw it. So the graphics sucked. It was in like 480p. There was no 3D. There was nothing. So it eliminated all of the spectacle of the visual element of the movie. Now, most people would say that the visual element of a movie makes a huge difference when it comes to storytelling, that it is as much a part of the plot as anything else. That being said, if you eliminate all the visual storytelling, the actual storytelling was bland and stupid. Like, it just didn't work for me. And Ross is moving furniture on his side. Sweet. Well, Silver, how are things? How is the shul?
I hate everything.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, sorry, I dropped my phone on the desk.
Suffering incarnate. I can't wait for this to be over.
You're still on the wheel.
I think that moon passed in front of the ship slightly.
Oh no.
I'll
We're gonna
have to-
Very
crash!
small moon.
I'll have to correct that. Go ahead.
Oh, what else? I don't know if Chance is here with us, but my gosh, dude. I watched one of your shorts you put up. It made me laugh.
Good
It
old
was-
Chance.
Let's see. It was titled Kamala Sighting a Goodwill. My gosh, that was funny.
Chance is a famous troll of Goodwill. He spends to the point where he knows people by name, and he spends all his time there looking for like collectible video game stuff or consoles, or like he is in the retro gaming collecting market. And it's just it's what he does. He loves to do it. So one of these days he's going to find me a cheap Wii U. I'm going to get it. Complete my Nintendo collection or whatever. Not counting handhelds, because there's like 40 of them. I'm glad everybody's engaged with the podcast today. Good hell. Despite this, we have...
Audio problem? You're cutting out a lot for me.
I'm cutting out a lot for you. Let's see.
I don't know why. It's probably me.
It's the same problem with everybody else. Oh, well, there goes Ross.
Oh, we've lost one!
Actually, the audio seems to have improved, so...
Oh, so it's probably Ross. Excellent. So, we have
Nice.
lots to talk about and so little time to do it. Let's see if I can't bring up my first story. Let's see. So, as is expected to happen, here I'm going to move our... I'm going to move us over to the left so you can see. As is expected, so nothing lives in a bubble. The video game industry or the movie industry doesn't live in a bubble. And with the current state of the world and, you know, the economic and international political situation, it's not surprising that it has a cascading effect down the line. Now, no one's surprised that... Well, first, let's say that we're just... Once again, I feel like I have to keep reminding us this, despite the fact we talk about sort of so-called socially political topics. But we're not strictly a political podcast.
Right.
And we're not here to talk about that or the merits of said thing. But these will...
We
things like... Insofar it affects
We
stuff
address
that
it when it crosses over into our domain.
Exactly. And because of the tariff fight between America and China, China's decided that they were going to, they have heavily restricted American films distribution in China. And they are now mulling over a complete ban of Hollywood.
No.
Now, despite me not
I dare
caring,
you, China. Do it.
Well, see, that's the thing. Hollywood spent a lot of time in the past while courting China, trying to get its attention. They've done some of during an era where so-called woke content was at its peak, and racial sensitivity and gender sensitivity was at its peak. We got Hollywood bending over backwards to modify the stuff that they send to China in order to open themselves up to their market. So instead of catering to the American market, they alienated huge portions of the American market in order to cater to an international and more specific China market. Lest we forget Mulan, where they thanked the concentration camp for the Uyghurs in the credits of their movie. Lest we forget that they minimized black characters on the posters when they were sent to distribute to to China. Lest we forget that they cut LGBTQ content out of their films so that they could be distributed to China. And these are companies. The live action Mulan, that's right, Capruz. And these are companies who claim to care about your values. These are companies who claimed to connect to the average consumer, that they cared about these values, that they stood with you, and they lied to you. Because if they actually cared, they would make a stand against countries that this is actually a problem, as opposed to pick a fight with countries that are far and away far more permissive of these sorts of social issues than someone like China or the Middle East or Africa or Russia or everywhere else across the world. And any idea that you thought that they gave a damn about your issues, they were lying to you. They were lying to you all over the place. And you could see it. You could see it in the interactions with China. You could see it with how they, if it mattered, it's funny when it comes to a lot of major issues. Well, I was gonna connect this to like climate change or something, but we don't need to talk. The point being that it only matters to countries who are doing the most to fix those issues, not to the countries. It's like nobody's going demanding massive social change in China or Saudi Arabia because, they don't give a damn.
Well, it's one of those things where it seems so hypocritical that here in the United States, they will court a particular view and they will adopt it wholeheartedly and they will call the fans toxic for not following along with it and racist and all that other stuff. And yet, when they're out, I shouldn't say outsourcing, but when they're shipping this off to China, when they're exporting, that's the word I'm looking for. When they're exporting this to China, they are totally courting the Chinese view, or at least the view held by the controlling powers in China, and they are catering to them to get money from them. But they could totally do that here, but they won't. And the only reason they're allowed to do that here is because we have freedoms that they don't have in China. We're a much better system than China is. And yet they do this, and it really shows how hypocritical they are in that they're willing to throw aside all of the things that they tell us are bad. They're willing to just dump them in order to get money from China. But here they suddenly have integrity? Completely ridiculous.
It's an interesting point. Capruz says, did the film industry use the bot platform as a way to mildly export values, a slow boil the frog situation. I think that gives Hollywood a lot more credit than they deserve. I don't think that they had any intention of spreading Western values to China. I think the intention was money.
No.
I think they were looking to open up a
other
new
way
market.
around.
No,
They
ahead,
should
Rob.
have. That's what they should be doing.
Well, I mean, there's, I don't know if it's conspiracy theory, but there's like mild ideas out there that like all this DEI horse shit gets super pushed by Chinese investors, and then it tanks the companies and they end up getting bought out by other people. You see it especially in video games is where this really takes off. But like one of the major funders of those DEI initiatives is like foreign countries, like foreign companies, a lot of them Chinese. So I think it's the other way around. I think the reality is these morons in Hollywood have their dumb Hollywood ideals that they have and they want to push, and that's fine, whatever. It's not going to sell well, but then they see China, a market of 1 billion people. I mean, their middle class is as big as our whole country. So, well, we got to sell it in China. And so they try to, and you know, it doesn't work. That's the thing that kills me. The movies that do super well in China are movies that Hollywood has no respect for. I mean, things like the Warcraft movie. Yeah. But like none of these other movies make that much money there. I mean, some of the Marvel stuff, but not all of it, because some of those Marvel things have stuff in there they can't do. Like, you know, they can't show. And if anything has like any sort of supernatural or ghosts, they can't show that in China. So, I don't know. It seems to have been a big effort that really didn't pan out super well, because it turns out the Chinese like their movies.
Not only do they like their movies, as I try and shift to classy delay, apparently revenue overall for Hollywood has been down anyway. So getting Hollywood movies banned isn't that big a deal because US movies are not selling well in China. China's film industry has exploded lately.
Yeah, didn't they supposedly have a movie that made $2 billion?
They did. One of the highest selling movies of all time. It was an animated film, which addresses how does Chinese film industry fare? Do they think they are poised to pick up the slack? They already have. They've been replacing Hollywood. So all of the effort to marginalize what might consider traditional American values in court China. I mean, they spent all of this time ignoring or outright trying to modify the culture and insert political ideology into all of the messaging. We now get exposed to the fact that China didn't want any of that garbage. So they've been pushing away a good half of this country and courting China. And China doesn't want them anymore, to the point where their industry is actually pretty much handling everything on their own. I knew I had a chart. I don't think it's on here. Yeah, they don't perform really that well in China as of late. Some of the biggest movies to come out in the last while have been Chinese, particularly that animated one. Yeah, they don't need us. They are now a close second with as far as their film industry is concerned compared to America. I watched a documentary the other day where there is apparently China has this massive. It's not surprising, but China has this massive love affair with the Sino-Japanese War, because for years the only thing that could really be approved by the CCP was that conflict, because it's very pro China emerging from World War II and then eventually the communists take over. So there are apparently like well over 100 films set in that period, to the point where it's almost become a meme, where it'll be set during that time, but it'll be some farce or some comedy that almost has nothing to do with it, just so that they can have it. It's almost a meme to make a movie about that period of time, despite the fact that it really doesn't have anything to do with it. Which, belies the propaganda in control, but I just find it hilarious that this is the direction that we're going. Nobody's surprised that this is happening. The tariffs were always going to have an effect.
Oh yeah.
And the fact that it is having a cascading effect down the line when it comes to China is not shocking to anybody. And this is something that Hollywood is going to take on the chin. Oh, it's our boy Chance saying banning Hollywood films would be a service to the Chinese people. Probably. Banning Hollywood films almost here wouldn't damage our culture really that much.
Yeah.
Chance is here.
Maybe
Silver
should,
said she watched one of your shorts and had a lot of praise for it, Chance. Congratulations.
Maybe what we need to do is follow the Chinese example.
Just start and ban Hollywood.
Yeah.
Well,
At least some Americans are paid when they make those movies.
If recent box office is any indication, we don't really need to ban Hollywood. We just need to stop paying attention to them.
They'll do it themselves.
Well, because hilariously enough, apparently Hollywood is replete with unemployed writers. As between 2023 and 2024, writing jobs fell by 42% in Hollywood.
Jesus.
I mean, COVID didn't help. The writer strike didn't help. I don't know why anybody's surprised.
Not help them.
Why the writer's strike didn't help you. And then you make movies nobody wants to listen to. And now China doesn't even want your garbage. Was this the best course of action? Was this the best course of action when it came to your decision making? And now you're replete with unemployed writers. And I always, you always see comments from people on the internet or these writers groups lamenting where it's like, well, I can't make a living doing that. Who said you could? There's always this attitude when it comes to jobs like this. There's an expectation that I go to school, I get my education and this sort of thing, and that there are jobs waiting for me. And nobody comes to the conclusion that, first of all, you have to be good at it to be employed. Like you have to be competitive with it. Second of all, if the industry has a glut of writers, you're less likely to get hired. And it seems like there are way more writers than they need. And I guarantee you the writers that they do have a lot of them are there for DI purposes, and a lot of them are using Chat GPT to write their scripts.
Yeah, unfortunately they're not there due to merit.
Not surprising. And not surprising that this is the direction that Hollywood has been going. And the current tariffs are simply affecting this. Yeah. Well, thoughts before we move on? You guys are low energy tonight.
Get dunked on, Hollywood.
Yeah, get dunked on. What do you think, Silver?
I got no thoughts. This is insanity.
Yeah.
I just think that Hollywood is so out of touch with reality that that they're even missing wake-up calls. You know what I mean? It's like for years we've been telling them, you guys are irrelevant and what you are producing is garbage. Get your heads out. And they've been doubling down instead of listening to their customers. And this is just one more instance in which Hollywood is, they're morally bankrupt. If they really, really believed in their causes, then they wouldn't be trying to cater to China. They would be trying to make China basically learn Western values. But that's not what they're there for.
Well, first of all,
they're there to chase the almighty dollar, and
Well,
to make our lives miserable.
It's not even that they didn't care. They don't value Western values. A lot of them have this ideological goal to dismantle what made up the culture that they are now that they built their industry in. They feel guilty about it. None of them care about these things. There's never been a goal to spread values from their own culture. They have this self-loathing sort of aspect to it. They don't give a damn.
What I should have said is that if they actually believed in these values that are not Western values, that they wouldn't have removed them from what they were trying to sell to China. But because we know that they removed them from what they were trying to sell to China, we know that they really aren't that interested in values, and they have no integrity. And the faster that they either fail or get the message, the better.
Well, they're not going to get the message. Chant says, I love how Disney is pushing fake praise for Snow White so hard on Facebook lately, and they're getting bodied in the comments every single time. That perhaps opens up a bigger discussion. First of all, it's in the news, but I'll just bring it up now. It doesn't look like Snow White is probably going to get past 100 million long term.
Oof. Good Lord.
Which is really bad. Especially considering all the and there are some really funny stories about Snow White coming down the line, but we'll bring that up later. But we've always been subject to, now this is a propaganda you see across everywhere, so it's not just a Hollywood thing, where they go out and they say the number one movie in America, and it's like, I could see the box office. That's clearly not true. It isn't the number one movie in America. But that also opens up the discussion for the fact that Hollywood and a lot of these big companies, whether it's gaming or anything, they have to present the product as being successful, even if it is not, because the fear is that if word of mouth and the perception gets out that this is bad and we don't like, and the general perception is it's bad, then it'll have a cascading effect. So they have to put up this weird face of, oh, everybody likes the game. Look at all of the good reviews, even if they have to manipulate reviews and then hire bots to go out there and shill for it. Like, they literally pay influencers to go on places like Instagram and YouTube and praise products that they never use or even care about.
It's so weird. So weird, because we can obviously see, the evidence of our own eyes that Snow White is bombing, and it's bombing hard. And yet, at the same time, they're sitting there saying, no, it's doing great. It's the number one movie in America right now. Well, we can actually verify your claim there. And, you guys need to just own it. Just say, look, we screwed up. We'll do better next time.
Well, and it's like Ubisoft going like, we have 3 million players, and it's like, well, what does players mean? That's not sales.
Oh, yeah.
That's players. So what does players mean when it comes to Assassin's Creed Shadows? Well, apparently this Ubisoft...
We're doing so well.
Ubisoft has been doing so well. Not only are they being bought out by Tencent, but their stock has dropped this last week.
Yep.
So it's like, that 3 million sales, that this is a massive success, does that mean you're doing really well? Or does that really mean that that's just sort of a wink and a nod and a smoke and mirrors to pretend that there's success when there isn't? To pretend that you're doing a lot better than you are. But every company does this. No one's going to come out and be like, we're the third best movie in the country behind a couple movies that have been out for weeks.
Well, that's why you gotta zhuzh it up instead of trying to, because say the thing everyone knows is a lie. You go, come see the movie everybody's talking about, because you can't verify that.
Well, everybody's talking about it, but they're all saying how bad it is.
Everybody's talking about it. Okay, I don't know why we got to talk about how they're talking about it. All right.
I think one mistake people on the internet make when they talk about Snow White is a lot of them do it in reference to the sort of political climate. Like, well, they're rejecting it because of a brown Snow White and the bad politics. I think the average viewer, that's not their biggest concern when it comes to a lot of this stuff. Now, we might say, hey, it's because they're disrespecting the source material and blah, blah. I think an average consumer goes, oh, it looks kind of weird and that doesn't look right and it looks kind of stupid and I don't like the...
I mean, and that's like, it didn't look good to begin with. Like, from the very beginning, it looked kind of bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I would like the idea that everybody cares about the content that's being put out or has some sort of, stance. Oh, they're ruining a classic piece of not just folktale, but original Disney content, the first animated Disney movie. It's a big deal. They're disrespecting the characters and I would like to think that that's how people could come to these sorts of things. But in reality, it's very superficial. It's like, it doesn't look very good. We can scream on the internet, but we don't have as much of a influence as much as I think a lot of people on the internet seems to think. We don't actually have as much of an influence on a lot of this content success as people seem to think we do. I mean, unless we're a massive channel and can swing numbers, but if people were listening to us, they probably had our opinions anyway. So I doubt we're really changing minds in that regard.
Well, it's like a lot of these kind of channels, whether it's ours or other people's, like it's just pointing out what seems to be fairly obvious. I mean, I didn't go to school to be a film critic. I barely went to school at all.
No, don't disrespect the years of education you have in filmography.
And I barely went to them. What do you mean? I'm not lying. I'm not saying I didn't have them. I just barely went to them. Okay. No, but like that's not what I went to school for, right? Like I'm not educated in that. But like it's just obvious. Like, oh wow, that looks terrible. Which makes Minecraft so baffling. But whatever.
The thing is that we can look at it. We didn't go to film school, so we can't sit there and say, oh, they should have done X, Y, and Z from a filmmaking standpoint. But we don't need that to be able to look at a movie and say, this is garbage.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think you need credentials, really, at all. It just means we have less information. Hollywood's doing poorly. We had a recent Daredevil come out. It's getting worse. It's not good.
Uh-oh.
Good sign.
I had a lot of hope for Daredevil.
Started out strong, but they figured out how to ruin it.
But much like most things, you start out with hope.
Start out strong?
It didn't start out strong. It started out all right, and then it had some good episodes, and then some bad ones, and now it's just kind of an overall disappointment.
Oh,
gosh, they ruin everything. They ruin everything I love, and I don't know what to do about it anymore.
There shall be no new good Daredevil for you, Red.
No new. This is why I'm sitting in the exhaust of our flippin' spaceship.
There's just a tube going into the window, the driver's window from the exhaust.
Close the garage.
Just looking back from
Close the space garage, honey.
just looking back from the steering wheel or whatever, and being like, "Yep, rats in the fumes again."
Sucking the tailpipe.
Whose turn is it to get them out?
The only way that these could look good to you is if you were high.
Well, can they stop? Can they stop ruining the things I love? Like,
no,
is there
they can't.
Is there anything
they're more
left?
Storytellers.
Well, Ross, is there anything left that you have that they can go and destroy?
Oh God.
memories are you gripping onto?
I don't know if you have anything left.
X-Men's going to suck when they make new ones. And I'm not the biggest X-Men fan, but I loved that show as a kid. Because my first thought is BattleTech, but Catalyst Game Labs is already fucking that up. So, they got it. They got it all, I think.
Because they got Halo. You were a Halo man.
Oh, Halo's been... I said goodbye to Halo over 10 years ago. Halo sucks. Battlefield sucks. BattleTech is going down the crapper and chasing trends. Let's see, what else is just awful now? Oh, Kingdom Come Deliverance couldn't even get a second game without retarded drama.
Yeah.
It's just... Yakuza, oh no, they made a terrible show of that too. Never mind. All right, they got it all. I think they pretty much have it all sealed up.
There's nothing left for you. So Chance says, how can they ruin everything you love when you have no emotions other than sleep and rage? You ask why that's the problem that I have.
Why do you think I have the rage?
Why do you think I have the rage? It's because they've eaten alive everything I care about. I remember an innocent young man who had a love of Star Wars who no longer cares about Star Wars. Now, I know that sounds silly, but to sort of rip that out of an individual where your personality was almost based off of your interest in a thing, like nerd personalities tend to revolve. That's what being a nerd is being overly into or obsessed with something. Mm-hmm. Something goofy, comics or movies or whatever. I don't have that anymore. All I have is the rage. All I have is the anger for what has been.
Yep.
I could even excuse the prequels and Jar Jar Binks. I wish for a day when I'm getting really bad episode 2. I wish for a day, because at least then it was just a bad movie. It wasn't a movie that was trying to undermine me with political ideology or trying to change the culture, or more accurately, as Capruz is pointing out, a postmodernist deconstruction BS, which is sort of the goal. They're trying to deconstruct these things. They're trying to reinsert new types of politics. This was always the goal. They never cared about the content. They never cared about the story. I mean, look like Henry Cavill talking about working on the set of The Witcher and how people were annoyed. The writers were annoyed with him because he kept bringing up, that's not what Geralt would do. That's not what happens in the story. And they hated it. They hated it. If you look at the posters for a lot of the Witcher Netflix show, the most prominent characters on the poster aren't The Witcher. It's the girls. It's because they never cared about this content. They always wanted to rewrite this to frame it in a new light. They never hired writers who even cared about it. And now they're surprised. Everybody's upset and up in arms about the content you've been pushing. And the writers are surprised that nobody's hiring them. You were going to say, Ross.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, the thing that's so funny is, I'm reminded of a great quote from Boromir, where he says, I'm going to change the quote a little. You'll be begging for George before the end. And you know what? George is... Oh, yeah. And the thing is, George makes dumb choices.
He does.
And he doesn't always have the best choices. But you know what he does do? He lets, the extended universe be alive and do its own thing, kind of. I mean, he approves everything at the end of the day, but, look, what's the extended universe like now with Star Wars, Disney Star Wars? As far as I can tell, it fucking sucks.
It does.
They can't make anything cool on their own. Anything that's even remotely decent that's Star Wars Disney. I mean, Mandalorian, that was the one thing. And that's barely EU. I mean, I wouldn't... And they turfed that too.
Oh, yeah.
Season 2 was okay. Season 1 was the best one. Andor was good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see if Andor 2 can keep going. I hope.
I love this quote from Chance. He says, "I have fond memories of having fond memories of Star Wars."
That's pretty good. And you know what? Because I mean, think about it. Like, what have we gotten in the extended universe from Disney Star Wars? I mean, because I remember I didn't like the prequels that much, even as a kid. Like, they were fine. I hated Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith was pretty good. I was fine with it. But I mean, we got Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2, Star Wars Republic Commando.
Oh yeah.
We got the Jedi Academy games. Like, there's freaking. What's that one that was on N64 and PC? Galaxies Dark
Shadows of the Empire.
Shadows of the Empire.
That was good. I loved that one.
Your Han Solo simulator. You know, it was great. Like, it was all so fun and unique. I mean, the first 2 Battlefront games. Yeah. The best thing we got now. I mean, and to be fair, there's been one Star Wars game I can think of. I guess technically 2, but the Jedi Survivor games, like the Jedi series. Those are pretty all right. And other than that, everything sucks.
The first one's really good. The second one's a little okay. It's just not as exciting and fun as the first one with the recent Survivor games.
Yeah, it's such a bummer, and it's just throughout everything now. Like, I mean, when you find that little hint of glint of gold in some series or, you know, grand IP, you're just so happy to have it. I mean, look at that fucking Marvel's Rivals game. Making money hand over fist. Movies can't do the same.
No. They can't recover from it. God, and they're ruining Marvel. Like, I have this whole thing about stuff that's happening in the comics today, and it's just not just even the movies, like just the balls being dropped. And a lot of us just going down the same. I now find myself retreading a conversation we've had 40 times. They went down this ideological route. They thought that they could basically force the audience to move in the same direction that they were going politically. The audience didn't go along with them. They rejected it wholesale. They turned to China as a new emerging market. China's now banning them when it comes to their access. Now they've alienated a huge portion of their original audience, the ones that originally loved them and the original fans. Now it's become this sort of cultural war, ideological line in the sand. Same conversation, different day. Every stinking time. Oh, and now half of you
a lot of it comes
fired. And,
he's feeling the rage.
Feeling the rage.
Yeah. I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that we're dealing with Hollywood executives, Hollywood writers, and not people who are actually fans that are familiar with the work. Now, obviously, you're going to have issues either way. You're either going to have the issue that we have right now where these people don't care and they're just trying to use this as a vehicle to push their politics. But if you go the other side too far, obviously, you're going to have the same. You're going to have different issues, but they're like you're going to have somebody who's trying to do an accurate, true to the book, Lord of the Rings, where we have every single line and every single character and every single nuance, and then you have a movie that's The Fellowship of the Ring that's 10 hours long, and so you do have to run the balance between we want to serve the fans, and we can't go too overboard with the message. We have to get back to when Hollywood was about entertainment, and we have to recognize that, as Henry Cavill said, that the fans are just fans. You got to stop calling them rabid and toxic and saying it's their fault. If you want them on your side, it's easy. Give them what they want. I mean, it worked with the Lord of the Rings movies from Peter Jackson.
They can't even attract normal fans. They can't even attract normies anymore to this garbage.
No, they can't.
Let alone cater to the fans. They can't even get average people to walk into their stupid films.
And
go ahead.
And that's the thing too. Like, I mean, what Hollywood needs is they need producers who both want prestige and want to make money. That's what, because they have people who want to put their message forward and be so whatever it is, and they also have people that want to make money, but they don't have anyone who is wants prestige for making great movies and having their name on it, and people who want to make money with those same films. And you got to have both. You got to have people that have both those qualities. Because I mean, some of the greatest movies we've ever known as a culture came from people like that: The Wizard of Oz, Gone with the Wind, The Godfather. I mean, so many, movie after movie, came from people like that who wanted to make money, but wanted their name attached to something great. And we just don't have that now. They just want the easy ride to make. They just want to be one of the 23 producers on a fucking Star Trek show that cost way too much and that nobody's going to watch. It just sucks. There's this weird lack of passion in the strangest ways in Hollywood right now.
I think you hit on something there that basically one of your comments sparked this idea in my mind, and I think you did really hit on this. But it's like they want the accolades, they want the money without putting in the work.
Mm-hmm.
There was I was watching a video the other day about the making of Ben-Hur. And how that thing, I think modified in today's money, it was like $100 million movie. But it's like, that movie was so big, I don't even think they could make it for $100 million today.
No.
Oh, God, no.
That's got to be like a $400 million. It was okay. It produced the video game Ben-Hur.
and Red has achieved the perfect her. The only one
amongst us who has a perfect her. You might ask yourself, what are you talking about? Yes, that's right. The free to download Ben-Hur tie-in video game on Xbox that I happened to just download at one time and is no longer available. If you download it, you can get a perfect her by getting a 1,000 achievement points, which is unobtainable for anybody. But the perfect her is your perfect run in the chariot race. Good luck getting a perfect natural her, as opposed to pirating the stupid thing. An unclean her, if you will. There might have been a night when I was being really weird and tired and screaming about playing Ben-Hur with Ross.
I remember that. Dude, it was so funny.
Got the perfect her!
They gotta get the perfect her. Gosh dang it.
One of these days I'm gonna have to put my account on your Xbox just so you can have it on there, so you can get a perfect her.
Dude, I was thinking about that. I have to get that thing on a thumb drive. Put it on my Xbox.
If I put my account on your Xbox, then I could download it, and then it's just on there.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Give me access. So I can also have the perfect her.
I need access to Ben-Hur, the movie tie-in video game. I think that's an Xbox One release, if I'm being honest.
It was. Yeah, it was well before the X.
Cap Cruz says, I would be happy if they stopped the self-referential fourth wall breaks in movies. I feel like people feel so cringe about being earnest, and that has undermined any real emotion in writing. I think you are very on point on that. Deadpool has sort of opened up the sardonic wink and a nod doorway. There's a lot of this self-referential. Sorry, everybody's trying to recreate the sort of sarcastic comedy that came out of Guardians of the Galaxy, which seemed to have survived its reputation despite the other franchises collapsing on themselves.
Mhm.
Well, Hollywood is always trying to recreate lightning in the bottle. You know what I mean?
Well,
Somebody comes along and they make
They
a dynamite movie, and they're like, "Oh, we got to copy their success," and then they don't do it as well, and they just dilute it, and it just waters down. But they think when a movie comes out, they're like, "Oh, this is the start of a new trend," and they all jump on the bandwagon, and then we're sitting there going, "Make something good, people."
Well, and the other point that she makes, which is also very well pointed out, is there is a lack of earnestness. It almost feels a little bit too cringy, a little bit too awkward to take yourself seriously. Look, superhero movies are dumb. They're silly. They're dumb. Yeah. People are wearing underwear on the outside of their outfits. This is why we got X-Men, where they're wearing like biker black leather, because they couldn't even take it seriously enough. You know what you need? A good actor that walks out in the outfit and the tights and then just take it seriously. Just take it seriously. It's like, yeah, this is what I wear. Because if you take it seriously, the audience can come. We know it's silly, but we can be drawn into the plot and the story and the characters and the emotions and the direction that things are going if you take it in earnest. But they can't take it in earnest. Everything has to be just a little like eye roll and a witty comment and and then we move. And then it destroys the connection and the emotion. That's why I'm so afraid of Superman, is because it's being made by James Gunn, and James Gunn needs to take it serious. You know what doesn't? You know what's not taking it seriously? Having Crypto the Wonder Dog in the movie. That's not taking it seriously. You know what's not taking it seriously? Having this whole diatribe about the fact that Crypto the Wonder Dog is sort of an analog for a dog rescue you had. He used to bite your feet because he had trauma. And it was like, I don't give a damn about you and your stupid dog story, Gunn. Make a movie, take characters seriously. We will be along for the ride. Stop trying to insert comedy to a character. It's like you can't understand these characters. It's like you don't get who Superman is. Who does good for the sake of good. He doesn't need a motivation. Besides, it's the right thing to do. Chance says
Superman's very much the Captain America of the DC universe in that regard.
Captain America has political and ideological motivation. Superman is just good for the sake of being good. Chance says, find a trans man. He's been her. But good hell, Chance. I see. You know what? You know what your punishment is? Like, comment, and subscribe. I have to leave that in there. Yeah, do it. I dare you. Every time you subscribe, it hurts my feelings. I know you like to.
Rhett feels the rage every time you subscribe.
Feel the rage. Well, I don't know if you could tell, but player level is a subscribers and high score is episode number.
You know, I was wondering, my gosh, I didn't connect that.
It'll just get bigger as our level increases. It's just Hollywood's doing amazing.
So we can lose levels?
We could.
No.
Theoretically, we could lose levels. That's true. We can't go back and score. That's only one direction. We get more high scores the more episodes we produce. I'm going for 1 billion.
Yeah, we are.
Gosh. It just goes off the page at one point.
It'll go off the page. Well, I think we've spent enough time here, and it's chime. What the hell am I talking about?
Chime.
It's time to change the channel because the news is on. As the news up.
The Distracted Gamer Podcast. Big steaming pile of news dump.
No, the toilet.
Oh no, everybody! The toilet's been clogged, and there's more news. There's more news to go through. What, Ross? What's your problem?
No, it just they look like comfy seats. That's all. I'm just saying.
It's Somebody plunge it, hurry!
I clogged this toilet. And you know what's my favorite? When we change the channel, the news dump is literally on channel number 2. Channel number 2. Thank you. I put an absurd amount of time into this Cap Cruz. I struggle to pronounce your name. I think I get it. Well, it's a news dump. We're sitting behind the dirty, crappy table on our toilets of porcelain. And we've got a lot of news to go through. I have pushed some of the initial content we've had for the beginning of the podcast for the news dump, so get hyped for that. As referenced before, it looks like Snow White is not going to get past $100 million. The audiences have wholesale rejected the recent Snow White movie.
It doesn't deserve to get past 100. It doesn't deserve to get 70. What is that? 77 million? 70. Yeah. It doesn't.
77 domestic, 91 international. Yeah, domestic won't get past 100. And no one's surprised. And no one is shocked. I should really put like one of those chyrons in the corner where this news is put in, but it needs to be big enough for the sight impaired people to be able to see it. And on top of that, Thunderbolts, despite weird spin from the article from the Hollywood Reporter, is tracking for a fair opening of, you can't see it slightly off screen, but 70 million US. Now, fair opening. This is tracking behind the Eternals.
That's really a fair opening if it's tracking worse than the Eternals did?
Yeah, it's tracking worse than our recent failure of Captain America Brave New World. But it looks like Thunderbolts is probably going to stumble out the gate. And it's possible, much like, let's say, Guardians 3, it could have legs going, but it's not gonna. Word of mouth is not going to get out, hey, this movie's really awesome, let's all go see it.
I think there's just too much goodwill lost in this instance. You know what I mean?
No one's willing to give them an
a whole bunch of characters that nobody cares about.
Yeah, I mean, it could be better than Captain America. It could be better than the Marvels. It could be better than anything that we've got since Endgame. But because of all the failures that have led up to this, while it could be better than that, people are shying away from it because they're like, well, the rest of these were bad. What's the odds that this one's actually going to be good?
All right, Chance. First of all, two things. One, you have bad opinions. Okay, established. Chance says the Eternals was enjoyable. I said what I said. Well, you're a disgusting perv. And this explains a lot of things. Number two, I haven't seen the Eternals, so I can't tell you whether or not it was good. I know everybody hates it, and it performed
I have
poorly.
seen the Eternals, and it was bland. It was mediocre at best.
Okay,
I've seen it. Couldn't tell you a thing about it.
They also changed the sexuality and race of a bunch of the characters. Does that mean is that a good sign, Chance, when they have to change the sexuality and race of a bunch of the characters in a show? Does that mean that they're honoring the source material, their champ? Huh, bucko? Suddenly Jordan Peterson there for a second.
Clean your dang room.
Regardless, it's not a good sign for a movie that performed poorly and a new movie to be tracking lower than a movie nobody cares about, i.e. The Eternals, which we're never going to get a sequel. We're never going to get anything reference to it. It happened, and that's it.
I mean, if the Eternals had done well, they would have given us a sequel. We would have had Eternals 2, but we didn't.
And
they
one
totally
of my
set up the Eternals movie for a part 2.
And one of my favorite articles this week. No, don't want to remove that. Apparently, Hollywood is confused by Minecraft's success.
Yes.
All right, Chance.
You and me
First
both,
of all,
Hollywood.
Chance says The Eternals was better than all of the Lord of the Rings films. I may have rage, and Jason might have no emotions, but you have no soul, sir. Hollywood is confusing. Is confused by the success. I'm going to read parts of this, and then I'm going to explain why they're so stupid. So apparently it's been killing it. We're looking at a worldwide total at this point after, a week of 320 million. This is the best start for a video game movie ever. It's now past Mario. No one's shocked. Is the movie good or bad? I don't know. I've heard bad things. Didn't matter.
Yeah.
It's a Minecraft movie. Doesn't matter. And one of the most stark displays of industry audience disconnect seen in recent memory. The breakout performance of the live-action Minecraft outing has left many in Hollywood scrambling to find an explanation as to why this movie, even with the widespread acknowledgement that it's less than great, was able to shame other such big-budget, youth-friendly releases as Mufasa the Lion King, with a box office of $35.4 million domestic. For its opening weekend. Captain America, opening weekend, 88. Snow White, 87. Let's see. For example, in her analysis, Variety's Rebecca Rubin sought the insights of various Hollywood analysts and consults, eventually walking away with a list of 5 factors that were allegedly responsible for a Minecraft movie's popularity. All audience appeal, marketing tie-ins, pent-up demand, video game boom. That's not even remotely true. A social media supernova of discussion. Likewise, though, he did acknowledge Hollywood's near universal miss regarding their Minecraft predictions. Deadline's Anthony D'Alessandro attributed large parts of the film's box office pull to social media influencers and a myriad of marketing stunts, namely a Happy Meal promotion with McDonald's.
Oh my God.
What the hell are you talking about? This should tell you why Hollywood is so stupid. They don't understand anything. All audience, okay, so it's a children's movie. That's not why this is blowing up. It is a factor that everybody can go see it, but the fact it's a children's movie means nothing. Mufasa was a children's movie and nobody cared. Marketing tie-ins. Nobody cares about the marketing tie-ins. That was not going to carry this film. Pent-up demand. No, there was no pent-up demand. I mean, pent-up demand for a movie that could be fun. That might be it. For a movie that could be fun. Chance says that they're taking the hooligans to see Minecraft tomorrow. It's probably going to be stupid fun. And that's okay. That's okay. Video game boom. We are in a decline for video games.
Yeah, the video games are dying.
There's no boom going on in the audience or in the industry.
You actually called this several podcasts ago, where we were talking about the Minecraft movie, and we were saying that it's obviously going to be just a crap movie. From all the trailers and things that we've seen, it looks terrible. But you said it's going to do well because of how many fans there are of Minecraft, and how many of those fans are children.
Yep.
Because this is something that you can take your kids to. You may be a fan of Minecraft, you got your kids into Minecraft, and now you can go see a Minecraft movie together. This is what happens with rated G movies when you make them family friendly.
Well, it's not even just the rated G. That's not even just the rated G.
Right.
Social media supernova discussion, not remotely true. Sorry, finish your thought.
No. I was going to say, nobody cared about Mufasa. Nobody wanted it. Nobody cared about it. It was set up for kids and everything, but who cares? It's one of those things that this was positioned in such a way that it's universally beloved as far as a video game goes. So even if this movie, if all the adults think it's crap, my youngest son just went and saw it today with his friends, and he came back and said it was good. And I'm like, I doubt that highly.
But that doesn't matter.
The kids are going to love it. The kids are going to love it, and they're going to want to go back and see it again and again.
Once again, we're getting past. We're trying to nitpick the minor things. Oh, it's a family movie. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that.
Well, right,
As Deadline says, it's social media influencers that push it, or a myriad of marketing stunts with Happy Meal. It's Minecraft.
Yeah,
that's it.
The biggest game ever.
Ever. Yep. There are adults today
I was going to say
Minecraft religiously for years.
I remember when Minecraft came out when I was 21 years old. I'm 34 now, and it's been big since that day till now. It's had varying degrees of popularity and cultural significance, but it's always been there on everything you can, on your phone, on the Nintendo 3DS, on the Switch, on PC, on Xbox, PlayStation. I mean, you name it, it's on it. They have it. There's a version of Minecraft on it somewhere.
Yep.
Like, it made Notch a billionaire, for God's sake. I mean,
that Hollywood doesn't understand, because this is a brand with such far-reaching influence on the zeitgeist of younger audiences, and it's outside of their sphere. They don't get it because they're not. Hollywood people sitting here trying to predict films. It's like the sort of snidey, like, video game movies. Video game industry is bigger than Hollywood. By far. It is a billion-dollar industry. And to snidely sit there and roll your eyes when a video game movie comes out, these brands are bigger than anything. You've so thoroughly damaged things like Star Wars that Minecraft clearly eclipses brands like Star Wars at this point. I mean, imagine if they did a Fortnite movie. How devastating a film that would be. It would destroy everything because everyone would go see it. Fortnite's a massive brand, and Minecraft is quintessential that. It's like they don't even understand the toys that this reminds me of Big, where the company has all this polling and research and whatnot, and they're making Transformers out of buildings. And Tom Hanks is like, I don't get it. It's like, why is this fun? Minecraft is fun because it's Legos. It's literally the end result when playing it is the extent of your imagination. It's creativity. It's building stuff with your own creative inclination. If you want to build a castle on top of the mountain, you can do that. You can spend time. There's an effort and reward system. It's Legos. Cool. That's it. Like, I don't know why do you know why this was successful, Ross? Happy Meal promotions. Social media influencers.
Yeah. Happy Meal. The Happy Meal made it a bit successful, duh.
It was marketing tie-ins that made this movie successful.
Yes.
Or this brand is so infused within the culture that is in every child and most adults. It is. My mother played Minecraft to some degree. My mother did, because it's something relaxing. She used to go out and she'd cut the grass. She punched the grass and make it go away. Because Chance says, how sad is the situation in Hollywood when audiences are so used to complete crap that mediocrity seems like a revelation by comparison? Well, and it shouldn't be that difficult. Like, children's movies don't have to be brilliant. Now, I am of the opinion that you don't have to. Children are smarter than you give them credit for, and you can make good movies that appeal to children. Pixar, at least old Pixar is an example of this, where they could make good movies that children wanted to see. But guess what? Children also don't require good storytelling. It can just be dumb fun. And Minecraft seems to be dumb fun with bad storytelling, but it's irrelevant. This was always going to be a devastating, massive film. Nobody is surprised that Minecraft did really well. I mean, I would have been shocked if it didn't beat Mario. Mario is a massive brand. Minecraft's more popular. Like, hands down, more popular. And yet we have Hollywood sitting here trying to muse about why did this succeed?
What they did right.
Marketing tie-ins and Happy Meals? Social media influencers help push us.
That's what it is.
Social media influencers pushed shit. They have no capacity to understand which direction. And by this article's admission, Hollywood had no idea. Every prediction was this wasn't going to do well. Every prediction. And I told, and not that I'm Nostradamus, but I knew it was Minecraft. And I said clearly when this movie was coming, oh no, it's going to destroy the industry. It's going to be a massive film. It'll do $1 billion. Like, you can't stop this film. And here we are. Minecraft movie doing huge. Are we surprised? No, we're not. Do you know who they originally cast to be Steve? Ross?
No.
Who? Matthew Berry.
What?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I mean, I don't know how he would do, but he would have been really interesting.
Jack Black.
Also, do you know who the director is?
No, I don't.
He directed Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh my God! Oh, hey, good for him.
Good for him. Have a big payday.
Yeah, I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
It's enormous.
As we watch Hollywood muse over what on earth happened and why is a movie that they have no influence over and is bigger than anything that they could produce doing well, we shift on. So there's an exciting piece of news. I'm going to reformat the shape here. So apparently the Switch GameCube controllers are going to require the Switch 2's premium subscription to work.
So dumb.
Good Lord.
People tend to need those controllers for things like Smash Brothers. But apparently, in order to work, you have to have the premium subscription because it's going to attach to their virtual game store or whatever. So that if you play GameCube games, in order to be able to access the controller, you have to be able to have the subscription. Which, I mean, Nintendo looks like it's moving in a good direction. Good, positive direction. Things are going well.
People really love this sort of thing. People really like that, that they're monetizing every aspect of the goddamn thing. It's really good.
Yeah, they're slowly ticking up a bunch of bad reputation vibes with, like, the Xbox One era. I think Jason pointed that out earlier.
Yeah,
and because the thing is with Nintendo, like they've always like shit dicks when it came to their IP management. As far as like they are very aggressive. If you post anything about their stuff, or God forbid if you are one of the ROM people that like have ROMs of their games, their old games that they're not releasing anymore. They will come after you hard. But that could all be kind of hand waved away. The cute little video game console company that they were still doing it old school, baby, and now they have like gone into the Olympic-sized pool of the deep end of it, off the highest diving board of just the worst practices. It's shocking. I mean, we'll see if they continue, like if they hold the line until the release of the Switch 2. But good lord, if they do, I mean, I have said on this podcast several times that odds are I'm probably not going to get a console next generation except for a Nintendo one, because everyone else wants to be a PC, so I may as well get a PC. Well, this doesn't make me want to run out and buy a Switch 2.
It doesn't. Yeah, I'm totally with you there.
Just seems really shitty.
One of my favorite stories of the week. Disney's Snow White has apparently produced more carbon emissions than the last Fast and the Furious movie.
What?
More than the car movie with explosions?
According to analysis of over 250 Walt Disney movie sets, Snow White and the Little Mermaid produced more pollution than any other Disney film made in the United Kingdom since 2019, when environmental reporting requirements first went into effect, according to The Guardian. Environmental reports show that the combined Snow White and Little Mermaid produced more pollution than the annual amount produced by Birmingham and Luton airports. Each film generated more pollution than the annual totals for Blackpool Pleasure Beach and London's O2 Arena. The emissions for films shot in UK are measured in tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. A source close to Disney disclosed last year that a total about 2,600 carbon units is right in line for what the emissions for a tentpole production should be. Little Mermaid nearly doubled that figure, producing 5,127, and Snow White emitted 3,153, outpacing the environmental damage of Fast and the Furious.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's
Not only did it waste a bunch of money,
surprising.
not only was a terrible film that damaged the brand, but they're also ruining the environment with these stupid movies.
That rocks. Well, it's like, remember when they were making Rings of Power down forest in England?
Yeah, they had to chop down a forest to do it. They chopped it down and leveled a huge section of the forest to build that outside set. You know what was funny? We got Return of the King, and this massive epic feel in that movie with the huge castle and whatnot. They chopped down a huge section of the forest to build a huge set with the castle wall and stuff, and it still managed to feel small and like claustrophobic.
Yeah.
Like compared to Return of the King, that was much bigger.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The set on Rings of Power felt so much smaller and less connected.
Yeah. Is it just me too? Like that second season of Rings of Power was really like worse in that way than the first one.
Yeah.
Like it just felt like a series of like there was no good connection travel wise. Certainly not after like the second episode or so. It was just
Well, it's just the set,
like almost like a clip show.
Despite the set being bigger that they filmed on, it didn't feel as epic and large as movies that probably filmed on smaller sets
For less money.
yeah.
Let's move on. So I found people interestingly referencing this, so I'd like to bring it up. We're getting a Last of Us Complete bundle launching with the show coming out tomorrow for PS5. And this came to me sitting there thinking, wait a minute, how many Last of Us have we gotten? We had Last of Us with the PS3, that's one. Remaster for the PS4. And then we got Last of Us 2 for the PS4. And then we got the PS5 version of The Last of Us, which is a remaster, so that's 3 versions of the first one. And then we got a second version of the second one for the PS5. I don't think they did a remaster for the PS4 for the second one. I don't know. I never played it. And now we're getting a complete bundle. So I think that's like 4 or 5 versions of the first game that have been released.
I mean, they're trying to compete with Skyrim.
Yeah. I mean, Skyrim literally had that joke. They made that commercial where it's like, it was something like Google Home Skyrim, where you just describe what you're doing to the Google Home.
Hell yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, look forward to the new bundle if you don't already own it 4 times already. Incidentally, Last of Us Season 2 is coming out tomorrow. Everybody get hyped. The first Last of Us game is awesome. It was written by one of their greatest writers who wrote... she wrote the Uncharted games. Really good writer. Amazing. And she ends up getting let go and replaced by Neil Druckmann, who wrote the DLC for the first one, which is horrific, and the second one, which dishonors all of the storytelling of the first game. The second game is terrible and undersold the first game immensely. I consider the first game to be a whole separate game from the second because it had a different writer, different philosophy when they made it. Whole different thing. So yeah, you're right. The first one was actually very good. Anyway, season 2 for the HBO show that was weirdly popular for season 1. Guess what? Because it's based off a good story, despite the fact that the there's been this weird controversy with the character that plays Ellie, or the actor. It's an actress, despite being non-binary.
Right.
The controversy being that Ellie was a cute girl who kind of looked like Ellen Page in the first game. Now Elliot.
How Elliot.
And there was a lot of criticism because the person that they cast for the show is not very good looking. She looks like a blank-faced troglodyte, if I'm going to be honest. And the discussion on the internet ended up being, this is gross. Everybody criticizing her face is just because they don't want to have sex with her. It's like, that's not why we are unhappy with the look of this person. That's not remotely close. And once again, I have no dog in this fight because I'm never going to see the show, even though I have access to HBO. Just not going to watch it because I hate what they did. Yeah. And I hate Neil Druckmann because he's a massive piece of shit.
Oh, did you see that he admitted that maybe you'll get there? That what he did in 2 was not right? Was the wrong choice?
Oh, no, go ahead. I don't have it.
I want to say it was... he didn't agree with killing Joel. And it's like, homie, you wrote that. What are you talking about?
That was his decision.
Like, you chose that. What? Yeah.
Well, he tried to make...
He knows the second season's going to turf it. He wants to be Hollywood man.
Yeah, he does. He tried to make these emotional stakes that didn't work. He tried to attach a bunch of... So his conclusion with the second game is like, oh, well, the doctor you killed to save Ellie's life at the end, which everybody, of course, made the decision because the whole point of the game was, do you save the world or this person that you spent the whole game getting close to? And he saves the girl with no guarantee that her issue would have saved anybody. It might have had an effect. So the second game, he goes, the daughter of the guy he killed goes for revenge. I was like, okay. There was actually somebody who was a physiologist. Somebody actually had some mods where they could remove the clothing of the jacked woman in the second game. And they're like, oh, her physiology is that of a man. There's no woman in here. Like, if you look at the hips, they're shaped like a man. If you look at the structure, like, no woman ever is going to look like this.
Yeah.
And you could clear the whole turning Ellie a lesbian was a thing that Neil Druckmann did. And suddenly what became this personal story of this guy superimposing the death of his daughter on this new person has now turned into like gender politics and LGBTQ politics and like trans references. And it's like, okay, all right, I'm out. Like, it was a simple story that didn't have any of that inserted into it, and now it turned into something else. And in the end, you're given this choice. Where, first of all, he makes you play as her, who kills spoiler, who kills Joel in the second game. He makes you play as her for most of it. And then at one point you play as Ellie, and at the end, Ellie decides to spare her life, which makes no sense. What she spends all this time trying to hunt Ellie down, and then Ellie spares her life. Well, apparently in the original version of the game, and we know this for a fact, that they wrote it where you were given a choice as to whether or not to kill her or spare her, and overwhelmingly testers decided to kill her. And I think Neil wanted to create a game where you got really attached to this character by playing her, and then chose to spare her at the end, much like in the first game. But the problem is nobody liked her. Even though you made us play as her, no one liked her character. No one. So there was no shock that at the end, everybody decides to execute her, which angered Neil Druckmann, and they took away your ability to make that decision because nobody was making the decision that he wanted to, which should have been a massive red flag that what you're writing isn't working because audiences aren't connecting with what he was trying to do. Is that shocking to anybody? That you kill the main character of the first game that everybody loved, and somehow we're supposed to forgive this because she feels bad or something? Like, bullshit. Bullshit. Neil Druckmann's a hack.
Yep.
He can't write. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing. And he's the reason why nobody trusts Naughty Dog anymore. I wouldn't buy a game from Naughty Dog if you asked me to. No. The answer is no.
No.
Never going to play the second one. Never going to watch the show. And this is all Neil Druckmann's fault. He made these decisions. He let the original writer go who wrote all of the Uncharted. And that's why they were successful. She wrote Last of Us 1. He wrote the DLC, which made Ellie a lesbian as a 14-year-old girl. He wrote Last of Us 2. Now, he had part in writing the other stuff, like he was, but the main writer was this other, who I apologize for missing her name. No one's shocked as a result. And the only thing that makes me upset is that we're rewarding this bad decision making by having the first season on HBO be extremely popular. Anyway.
Yeah. The thing is that obviously it's down to his choices. Do you know why they made him the head writer on Last of Us 2?
Well, he's one of the company.
Oh. So basically
he just stepped in and started making decisions.
He hired this other lady. They created a massive hit with The Last of Us. And
many massive hits with her as the head writer. Yeah.
And then he decided that
he wanted to be a writer.
Better than she?
Yes.
Oh,
yep.
wow.
Yeah. He wants to be Hollywood man.
And I know everybody's like, well, she resigned or whatever. According to her, it was not willingly that they pushed her out. So you can pretend that's not what happened. Like. But that's super what happened.
I mean, I can imagine that what happened was they had her start writing the Last of Us Part 2, and it wasn't going in the way that Druckmann wanted, and was like, you know what? You know, she's doing the whole thing where she's fighting back, going, that's a bad idea, let's do it this way, the fans aren't going to like it, and they're like, you know what, you're out. It just seems that we've got too many egos going around here in both Hollywood and in the gaming industry.
Well, yeah, that's a massive problem.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's shift on. So it looks like Breath of the Wild. I'm still playing with how this is formatted. I'm trying to keep our little faces in the... it looks like Breath of the Wild for the Switch 2. That edition is not going to get any of the DLC from the first version.
That seems weird.
And it's going to cost $20 more at an $80 price tag.
Oh my god. Hey, Nintendo?
Keep playing it on the Switch.
What?
I'll just keep playing it on the first Switch. Why would I move on to the second Switch?
What idiots.
So yeah, exciting stuff.
Hey, what's wild to me about that is like, because now that's the Breath of the Wild. I mean that game's been on the Switch forever. You could probably that's one of the games horribly expensive on the first Switch, and why wouldn't it? Oh my god! You think they'd add stuff to make you want to buy it on the?
Yeah, you're going to get some DLC if you buy it on the Switch 2 that we're not putting
exclusive
on the original Switch. Yeah.
And it's not like
everything on the first Switch.
If it's
plus
basically
more.
the same game, and I'm getting shafted on both the price and the DLC, why would I buy it for the Switch 2?
Well, it's not like a remaster or anything. It's the same game with less DLC, and it costs more.
Yeah.
Jesus God.
It might have a slightly better resolution because of the Switch 2 hardware. And it might run smoother, but it already ran pretty good. Like, I'm not upset. Shifting on. So the Marvels director says that the MCU bomb Final Cut was not the movie that I pitched or even the version that I shot. I don't think that would have saved your film, lady. I mean, you could sit there and go, well, the version we got is not the version I made. So when it did really poorly, it's not really my fault because that's not the version I made. And I was like, I don't think that was the problem. I don't think that was the problem with that movie there, champ. Shifting on in the news dump. Apparently South of Midnight has flopped really hard.
Oh no.
This Sweet Baby Inc. Focus game. Apparently the original character was not a black woman. I don't remember the gender, but it was a white person because it was set in the South. And Sweet Baby Inc.'s involvement had it moved to a black woman. But yeah, apparently it has had a disastrous launch. While some defenders tried to soften expectations by pointing to Game Pass availability, the raw data tells the real story. On Steam, still the most reliable barometers for public interest, South of Midnight has barely cracked 1,000 concurrent players. Smash JT, one of the most vocal independent gaming critics, note that even a paltry 2,500 players would have been embarrassing. This game didn't even get close to 1,000.
Jesus.
Everybody South of Midnight ate a real hard one. And it's not going well.
Things are going bad.
Ubisoft stock has plummeted a bunch this last week. Let's see. Oh, here's a funny story. So apparently they're doing a tie-in with Magic the Gathering and Final Fantasy. I'm never going to play Magic the Gathering. But apparently some of the Final Fantasy kits were mistakenly sent to Brazil and they're out in the wild.
Oh.
And there have been threats from Wizards of the Coast if they see those in stores or distributed, that there will be punishment in like restricted access or denial of product or whatever.
Wow.
They're really upset that it's been leaked.
Don't give them back. It's like, do you remember when somebody found the CD that had the source code for Craft on it, and that goober fucking returned it for a bunch of cheap shit from Blizzard? Don't do it. Leak it. Leak all of it. If they make the mistake, fuck them.
Breath of the Wild, let's see, Cap Cruz is commenting, Breath of the Wild made me realize that I have attention issues. There's too many tasks in such a big area. Start one and then get pulled away by blowing up rocks. I mean, that's fair. I play a lot I play a lot of video games and a lot of open world video games. And in some ways, it can be psychologically rewarding as sort of a task reward sort of cycle where you accomplish tasks and you see the reward and then you clear the map. And the problem is that type of psychology invites me to complete games in 100% capacity. Getting distracted by every side thing, I can see that as a problem. But not necessarily, as long as you follow through and you finish stuff eventually. But this is an aspect of any of these video games. There's too much to do. And then she goes on to say, my brothers play Magic and they hate this matchup. I'm not a Magic guy. When I grew up, I didn't go down the Magic route. I went down the Star Wars customizable card game route, and then that died. So the cards I got into, and then I kind of sidetracked into Dragon Ball Z for a bit, but that also died. So yeah, I never went down the Magic route, and I never got Magic. I just never. I love customizable card games. Do not have the money. It's a massive money sink. I love playing them. Yep. I love opening the packs. It's a lot of fun. There's like this addiction, gambly reward to it sort of thing. Love playing card games. Love it. It's too expensive. And your ability to be successful is also tied to how much money you're willing to spend and your luck. And I don't care for that aspect of it. But Magic is super popular and has been around for a long time. I never got mashups with Magic, but when you run out of ideas, you might as well throw Final Fantasy into it. Let's shift on. So one of the biggest bits of news this week that everybody's talking about, I'm going to reference, not because it's not a big bit of news that we don't need to talk about, but because everybody's been talking about it. Does anyone really need my analysis when it comes to Fantastic Four? Hey, guess what? I love the original Fantastic Four. They're great characters. We have a new movie coming out. It doesn't look like
it's going to flop.
Well, I don't know if it's going to flop. I can address that it doesn't look like they are writing these characters in a way that honors the original characters. One, it seems like Sue Storm is going to be more of a central figure than Mr. Fantastic. And Pedro Pascal, yes, more Pedro Pascal, but Pedro Pascal has always been kind of a cucky character, so he fits perfect for stepping aside and letting her be more of a central role, which is not the Fantastic Four. Mr. Fantastic is literally supposed to be the smartest man in the world, if not the universe. So Sue Storm being more of a central character is not shocking. What is the attraction with people making characters and have like women characters and putting them in combat roles despite being pregnant? Can anyone answer this for me?
I don't know. It's very strange.
No clue.
Is it because pregnancy in the modern, and maybe Capruz can weigh in on this, in the modern concept in the modern feminist perspective is considered this detriment that holds women back, and so they like to take that negative and then put them in an active combat role as if this is something I can overcome and get past in some weird way. It ups the stakes, but not for most people. I mean, I guess it ups the stakes if they imply that the baby's at fault, but they had a baby's in danger, but they had like in the last Miles Morales movie, they had a pregnant black Spider Woman swinging around pregnant, and there was no implication that there was any threat to her whatsoever. And they also added Peter Parker carrying a baby around as if that's supposed to be his pregnancy. Like his carrying the baby around and taking care of it because his wife has something to do, despite serious danger and violence going on. They want the mama bears to be vindicated. How so? Pregnancy is a massive vulnerability. There's a reason why.
Yeah, it is.
women are built the way they are and men are built the way that they are. Women aren't expendable. Men are. We can't get more women. There's one guy can impregnate 100 women. One woman and 100 men is not going to create a lot more people. So men are expendable and always have been throughout all of history. So they're very vulnerable. They can't travel. They can't go around. They have to be protected and stay at home because of pregnancies. And I think they're trying. It's almost like this like feminist overcoming that disability. Not necessarily that it's a disability, but overcoming that difficulty. And you know what? I might be pregnant, but I'm going to fight and I'm going to be a girl boss and I'm going to punch people. I think that's where it's coming from. Silver, do you have anything to add to this? Being a woman?
No, other than it is ridiculous. Like, how many complications do you think would happen to an unborn baby from like the Spider-Man character swinging
around a city, being thrown about in the womb?
Yeah, that ain't good.
I mean, being in space, babies develop poorly. They develop all mutated and stuff if an animal is born in space. Well, that's because fetuses orient themselves based upon gravity. So if there's no gravity, literally their development is all messed up because they have no direction in order to tell what's up and down. And they found this when birthing animals in space and incubation and stuff that come out horrific and malformed.
Yeah, it's one of those weird science things that they did a lot of experimenting with, on the space station and crap.
Yes, the space station crap.
So, yeah. But the fact that they're centering the story of the Fantastic Four on Sue Storm is, right now it's just par for the course. And I just don't see this doing well based on the kind of history that we've seen going forward. The other thing is that they're completely changing Johnny Storm's character.
Yeah, I was going to get to that
as well.
But I just didn't think we were done talking about Sue Storm. But yeah, Johnny Storm is going to change.
He's going to be sensitive and caring and basically.
Well, they phrase it as they're going to. They phrase it as they're going to modernize his character.
Yeah.
Historically, in the comics, he's been kind of a man whore. He chases ladies, but it's like, yeah, he's a fire guy who's a fast talking guy who goes around and chases ladies. Like, no one's shocked at this, but now it's like, oh, well, that's not PC today. It's like those people still exist. Now we're just pretending that they don't. And his explanation is, well, we're going to modernize. Anytime anyone uses the phrase modernize or change for modern audiences, it's not going to work out. Because modernize is the worst phrase you could possibly be exposed to when it comes to original content, because all that means is going to modify it to account for modern political sensibilities. And that's poison. That is a red flag all up and down.
Change and that's one of the reasons why I don't think this movie will do well. Why I think it's going to be a flop.
Once again, we are way ahead of ourselves, Jason. Dishonoring the original source material angers people like us is not a guarantee for average viewers that this is going to be a failure. I have seen multiple successful movies of franchises that I love get the characters wrong, get the renditions wrong. This is still not a guarantee it's going to be a failure. We might want it to be because it's dishonoring us, but we are way ahead of ourselves in any prediction that this is going to suck.
Like historical.
What do you mean historical? Give me an example.
So they've been doing this since, the Marvels. Agatha All Along.
These are bad examples. These were never popular franchises.
Right, but they've had this. We're modifying this for a modern audience.
They already were shitty shows. They were shitty stories.
True. I don't see this story being an improvement.
But that's not all right. These are red flags when it comes to whether or not they're going to do a good job with the story. We'll have to see how it plays out. This is supposed to be the big reboot. Fantastic Four is supposed to be the new, where they're moving the entire Marvel everything behind. I don't think this is going to be as successful as they think it's going to be. But we will have to wait and see. Any indication that they're doing a good job with the characters seems to be poor at the moment. Cap Cruz says, fast talker flame dude erasure. True. And also the baby's brain would be mush in her womb. It's like fetal shaking, but with Spider-Woman.
Yeah. Oh,
but in space.
Don't shake your babies. So now we're going to open up for our final story of the week. Well, our final topic. So there's been a lot of drama going on in the Spider-Man realm as of late. One of the heads of Marvel basically said that, well, let me read his quote. While explaining how Marvel Comics leadership determines the right and wrong direction for the characters, one fan called out Spider-Man's chances of reuniting with his lifelong love and now ex Mary Jane. Responding to laughs from the audience, Boovert gave a quick clarification. He came out and said that he doesn't think that Peter Parker and Mary Jane Watson should ever be back together. And will not be returning together anytime soon. He has a quote here. He can get back with Mary Jane, but he just can't actually tie the knot with Mary Jane. Those are the ground rules going in. If you're going to work on whatever character, if you're going to work on Daredevil, you're going to have to deal with the fact that he's blind and he's probably going to stay that way for a while. I don't know why Daredevil being blind is equivalent to you can't change the fact that Spider-Man can never marry Mary Jane. But apparently their current philosophy is Spider-Man can be Mary Jane's boyfriend, just not her husband, while she cucks him. Let's remind everybody, Mary Jane and Spider-Man's relationship is probably the biggest relationship in comic book history. Spider-Man is quintessentially his pining over, well, Gwen Stacy originally and then Mary Jane later. Their relationship is part of Spider-Man's character. Balancing that has always been a part of Spider-Man's character. He can't have a different relationship.
Character.
Well, this is who he is. He can't have a different relationship.
Mm-hmm.
This is the person he's in love with. Their marriage was a big event in the comics. And yet they constantly try and screw with him and have that relationship fall apart at one point or another, including alternate universes where he loses her, she marries another guy, and he has to keep showing up looking at this girl he loves with children with some other dude because they hate Peter Parker. You can write stories without ruining his personal life constantly. You know who should die? Aunt May. She should die. She's old.
They should have just, that should have been they just should have said, okay, look, she's old. I'm sorry, but yeah, we've got to let her go somehow.
Karen Page is dead in the comics.
Old Biddy.
In the comics, Karen Page is dead. They also ruined her character before the fact they ever got to Karen Page. Like, they made her a drug addict and all these other problems, and it's like,
oh, yeah.
Cap Crew says, I mean, that upside-down kiss. Core memory that... their relationship is extremely important to the comic books and the movies.
Yeah.
So, reading this, you might be confused by the fact that apparently the comics executive director says that they will never break up Gambit and Rogue because readers in general seem invested in them as a couple.
What the
Okay.
What are we doing? What's happening?
I don't know, and I don't think they do either. Why
No, they don't. They have no clue.
Why somehow this is a hard and fast rule that their relationship should never... Guess what? Rogue has dated quite a few different people, including Wolverine and Magneto. But apparently Gambit and Rogue's relationship is so quintessential that it can never end. Much like Daredevil being blind, they will always be a couple, even though they're not as quintessential as Peter Parker and Mary Jane, apparently, but whatever.
Yeah, you know.
Now I'm getting an ad.
Gosh,
Looks like a fun game.
Everybody loves Gambit.
Oh yeah, big fan.
And
Genuinely.
Nightcrawler.
I mean, he was one of my favorites.
So you might ask yourself, how's Spider-Man doing in the comics? Well, apparently they're just rehashing a lot of things, including their intent is that in the Amazing Spider-Man, they will focus on him as a young person. I'm guessing this has attachment to the Tom Holland stuff with the movies. Despite the fact that Peter Parker's in his like 30s. They're now retracing him to being a young guy again.
Yeah, great. Gets to do high school again.
God, now they're doing tie-ins. Now,
as if they haven't already done this in the comic books. Like they did a whole reboot with Ultimate Spider-Man where he was in high school. Do we have to go back down this road again?
Yes, we do.
I guarantee you this is because of Tom Holland. I guarantee you. Hot young Spider-Man to attract the new young audience. And so you might ask yourself, how are things going with these things? Apparently their reboot is running into the problem that is pretty much a rehashing of Brand New Day's story.
Yep.
Didn't people hate that?
Yes, people hated that one. That's basically the comic that basically split MJ and Peter.
Oh yeah, people love that.
Yeah.
So one thing that might help you is Ultimate Spider-Man, the weird offshoot spin-off going on right now, is far outselling Amazon, The Amazing Spider-Man's main run, which struggles to break the top 20. Looks like they're doing well with how they're writing Spider-Man.
Yeah, people were big fans. Clearly.
And my final story, which I wanted to bring up because it's fun. Science has gone too far, and we have cloned the dire wolf.
Puppies.
Oh,
the thing is that they actually haven't.
Jason,
that's one of the weird things about this.
This is the same discussion we're gonna have to go down when it comes to dinosaurs. They don't have 100% of the DNA of a velociraptor in Jurassic Park. They had to insert DNA from other animals. Is this 100% a dire wolf? No, it is partially other animals because it's a hybrid.
No, so what they've done is they've edited the gray wolf DNA, and they've put in and this is they've changed 15 genes total. That's it. And all it's done is express the dire wolf traits. They actually haven't cloned a dire wolf. Yes, I know it's nitpicky, but
yes,
it's
it is incredible.
Like, yeah,
Jason,
it's like,
Jason, you share about 90% of your DNA with a rat. Does that mean that slight changes in DNA are not going to make the animal completely different?
Well, the thing is that they do have more DNA than that for the direwolf. They actually have quite a lot of DNA that they could have done, but they're taking it one step at a time, kind of thing. But it's a huge improvement on a lot of stuff that they've done before, and it actually shows quite a lot of progress in terms of genetic manipulation and things like that. And it actually is hugely cool. It's really cool. But the fact that they're like, yeah, we brought back the direwolf.
Yeah, well, this just sounds like you're tipping your fedora and saying, actually, at the moment. If they brought it back, if they brought back a velociraptor, you'd be like, yeah, well, part of it's frog.
No, if they brought back a velociraptor, that would be amazing, and they would have brought back a velociraptor.
But you'd go, actually, it's not entirely velociraptor though.
Actually, it's most chicken.
The thing is that to bring back a velociraptor, they'd have to insert quite a lot more DNA. It would be like 99% velociraptor, 1% something else.
Jason, the animal's been dead for 10,000 years. How much DNA do you think we're going to have?
They actually have quite a bit. Like I said, I was looking into it. They because of all the articles and things, they have at least 2 really good genetic samples. I forget where they got them from.
They got them from teeth.
Yes, one was a tooth. I think.
The other one was that inner ear bone inside a skull. But it's an extremely strong bone that's inside your skull, inside the inner ear, and they found slight amounts of DNA. Once again, the issue remains.
Malleus?
I think so. Once again, the issue remains simply because you have more DNA doesn't mean that that's transferable to creating a new animal. They've put a bunch of DNA and created this hybrid of what used to be one version of animal, and they've created a whole new one that has a lot of DNA and characteristics from a direwolf, which were previously extinct like 10,000 years. Now, is this 100% direwolf? No. No one's saying that. I'm just saying this is a species we haven't seen for 10,000 years. It's kind of an interesting story. They're trying to keep this animal in hiding, especially since the joke is that. So when they made the woolly mammoth mice, they put woolly mammoth DNA into mice and it made them like furry, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
And a bunch of people showed up at the studio, figured out where they were, and demanding to see the woolly mammoth mice. With the dire wolf, they're trying to keep this location secret because they're going to have people showing up demanding to see the new dire wolf. Like, I guarantee you, there are Saudi princes who would pay $1 billion to be the only person to own a dire wolf.
That's true.
Well, they should sell it and then make more dire wolves with
the proceeds.
Yeah, this thing is likely.
Also,
Go ahead.
Have you heard of their names?
Yeah, Romulus and Remus were the first two.
Oh, yeah.
This is a reference to the founders of Rome. And Khaleesi is the girl. Yeah, that's gross.
Oh, because George R. Martin gave him funds.
Ew! Like, kill that one. Sell that one to the fucking Saudis.
Yeah, so they named it Khaleesi.
One thing they found...
Like a white trash baby.
One thing they found, they're only about 6 months. And they're quite big. And they're probably going to grow well bigger than our average wolves. And I saw an interview where the guy was talking about it, and it looks like the wolf, from what they can tell, it looks like the wolf looks quite different from normal wolves, and it seems to be growing kind of like a mane, which is interesting.
Oh.
Some scientist back in the day predicted and was drawing in all of his stuff that they were going to be like red, which he just did because it made them stand out and gave his content attention. They're clearly very white animals.
Which makes sense for where their habitat was.
Well, yes, these lived in the Ice Age. I mean, honestly. What's that?
Yeah.
Was that Ross?
So what's the plan with these?
Well, they were first going to see if they could. And so there were baby steps in how far they were willing to modify to see if they could create a stable animal. So it looks like we have a new species, essentially, that's not 100% direwolf, but it's basically going to be influenced by a lot of the characteristics of direwolves. The intention is to study it as far as I'm concerned, as far as I can tell, to see how they behave and what they do and that sort of thing. We'll see if, because their eventual goal, this project, is to bring back a woolly mammoth.
Yeah.
But once again, Jason's going to come and go, actually be like, well, it's not 100% woolly mammoth. It's partially elephant from Africa. And I'm going to go away, Jason.
Here's what I want to happen. Fuck a woolly mammoth. Here's what needs to happen.
Okay.
And I'm going to lay this out for you.
Uh-huh.
They need to bring back the European lion. And they need to release it far and wide throughout Europe. I mean, from Sicily all the way to Norway. I want this thing. I mean, it needs to be it's everywhere, all over the place. And I want to see what happens. That's what I propose.
I was thinking war units of saber-toothed tigers. That works.
Hey, that's fine too. But we don't even have to go that crazy. I just must contend with a lion again. Because I bet it'll be hilarious.
Wild European lions wandering around. Capcrew says one of the genes they replaced was the one that regulated size. See, there were a lot of justifications as to why the genes they replaced were what they were. The thing probably would have been enormous. These things lived during the mega mammal period with gigantic bears and gigantic woolly mammoths. They had to have hunted those things. So for an animal to compare, it would have been enormous. And the fact that, look, when they've done DNA structuring and trying to bring back animals that have been gone, nothing this old. This is the oldest thing we've ever done. And if you look at this picture on the right, it does have a bit of a fuzzy sort of neck area.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this thing is unique, one of a kind, and we'll see how far they go down the road. And I guarantee you there's going to be efforts to steal it or demands to see it.
Yep.
All the rich people are going to be like, I want it as my dog.
There's a Saudi prince out there that desperately wants this thing.
Well, we could have a Willy Wonka situation. Veruca Salt, you know?
Yeah.
Just put her in there with the direwolf
plant. And
Oompa
loompa. The direwolf just ripped off your face.
Well, and so there have been concerns. There have been concerns. Does this open the fact that we're reintroducing apex predators into our environment? Is this the best
that's
idea?
My concern.
Is this the best idea that we could be coming up with of original species that were horrifically dangerous? To give you an idea of how bad the killing of the megafauna in North America throughout the world was, it was like a genocide of animals during the Younger Dryas period, where it wasn't just because you'll see stats of like 70% of animals went extinct. It's not 70% of animals. 70% of animals went 100% extinct. The last 30% nearly went extinct. That's how devastating the Younger Dryas period was. And I know there's current conspiracy if it was a flood or a meteor impact, or because the original classic, this is something Ross can talk to, the original classic historical belief was mankind went on a murder spree for some reason and killed off which doesn't make any sense, that we killed for no reason. And it was like, we would have to have so many more people and without guns to mass extinct.
They were killing 24/7, 365 days.
Like mammoths on such a scale that we're talking tens, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of mammoths. With spears, what are we running them off cliffs? Like what's happening here?
Well, I've played the historical document, and I think we could do it.
You cut out there. What game?
Oh, I said I played the historical documentary Far Cry Primal,
Oh.
and I think we could do it.
If you up your stats enough, you can use that. You make a better spear and then use that spear to kill some woolly mammoths.
Ooga booga, gungaga. We're going to kill all the woolly mammoths.
We have modern guns, and mankind lost a war against emus in Australia.
Emus are smaller and faster, Brett. Okay, listen, they're not as big. It's harder to see. Jeez.
For it to have killed everything off, we would have that literally during our primeval state would have had to have been the peak hunting and murder. Like mankind has never been physically more dangerous than during the Younger Dryas, is what they're telling me.
Yeah, I don't think like things like dogs and cats would be. I think we would have killed them too.
Or perhaps some sort of disaster happened and killed everything.
Probably more likely.
But yes, when I was taught in school, there was a mass murder that happened in this period of time where we just we got the bloodlust and they couldn't stop us for centuries.
I was taught that too. I told you.
Yeah, I don't think it's true.
I mean, it makes it sound like it was some like horrible like space opera, like a Jedi war or something.
Order 66.
Yeah, or like in 40K,
all
like that one
like,
Space Marine
Order
chapter that
66.
gets the bloodlust. Yeah, like what the hell?
Yeah, but human beings were not that populous at that time. So you're talking.
So the animals all just lined up one at a time to go through the killing fields.
Yes. You're talking a fraction
just...
of what human beings are even remotely today. And we apparently were all shaped like Arnold Schwarzenegger and could just not only could we sing like babies could single a mammoth on their own. Just doing like Yoda flips and stuff.
Yeah,
oh, totally.
One arm.
Well, get excited for when they start to populate out of control and escape their fines and start eating people because they're an apex predator.
I was going to say we already have arguments about regular wolves that were reintroduced to the Western U.S. This is going to be great.
Yeah, we're reintroducing Canadian wolves to Colorado.
Wonderful.
Like weirdly enough, Aspen. So they're letting these wolves out in like wealthy people's backyards.
Oh no, Fifi, run!
Good.
And these aren't normal North American wolves. These are like big, scary Canadian wolves. These are like ornery giant suckers. Oh, sweet. So AI is taking over. It'll irrelevant all art and culture, and we're just going to start bringing back just horrifically dangerous animals. Changing the channel back to the broadcast normal. Goodness. Well, it's been a fun podcast, everybody. Things are shaking up over here. That also means
I love it.
We have one final thing to get to. Wait. Oh yeah, I'm gonna do Silver's thing because it's funny. Wait. There we go.
She's here.
I'm so proud of that.
Oh, God. That's great.
I love it so much.
All right, fine night.
Oh no. Look at there, with buddy. This fourth season's so good.
The least watched and most overproduced podcast on the internet, everybody. All right, Jason, what on earth are we doing?
So this round of the competition, we are pitting the evil doll armed with a rocket launcher that screams names of attacks before using them against the demon-possessed car that's armed with holy hand grenades and explodes if it stops moving.
Rocket launcher.
Is this doll like possessed? Can we imply that?
Well, I think its very personage is. I think it even needs to be possessed.
Okay.
It's very nature.
I was just like, wow, if it's possessed, that holy hand grenade's a real buff.
Oh, hey, that's
true.
That's a good call.
The holy hand grenade of Antioch.
All right. Well, discuss. I'm not in charge at the moment. Well, here, let's look at
I'm trying to
the
get
car.
the chat GPT going here.
Armed with holy hand grenades.
Oh.
Here's my problem with the armed with holy hand grenades. What do you mean armed?
Yeah,
How does it throw How does it throw these hand grenades? Are they just in the back seat rolling around?
Does that not hurt the demon in the car?
Yeah.
Does the demon have to use the dismembered arm of a regular human to grab the holy hand grenade? Elsewise, it will burn it.
Yeah.
How does this work?
Doesn't that potentially hurt itself rather than harm others?
Like, drop out the holy hand grenades out of the back as he's driving around, or
But it doesn't have
It has a
arms.
little flipper.
well, I know it's
It
just
has
like
tentacles.
there's there.
So now we're establishing it has tentacles. Like where is our?
Oh, I'm just kidding.
And it has the rules of speed
It does have
where
the means for
it cannot stop.
Yeah. It basically they're rolling around in the back seat and it takes a drift and then flips open the door and one of the holy hand grenades goes rolling out and then it speeds off.
How does it pull the pin?
All right.
They're attached to strings on the back seat.
Well, then how does it control when it throws only one? When the drift
Maybe it throws a lot of them.
Would the
shotgun.
drift throw all of the grenades out? Wouldn't there be mishaps where one doesn't go out accurately and then it just blows up in the car and kills itself? How does it not burn
Maybe.
touching these hand grenades? It's a demon-possessed car. Whereas with the doll, it's just an evil doll. There's no implication that it is attached to Satan.
the holiness is internal within the grenade.
Yeah, it's got a regular steel casing.
So
Yeah.
God makes hand grenades that are safe enough for demons to use?
Well, for anyone, I mean, there's not all people are very nice,
I'm just
Burns
saying,
via holy water.
I mean, not to be a Debbie Downer, but there are logical flaws that I have serious questions.
Well, I think if we go down that, I mean, how's the doll? But I think that. Listen,
Ross,
there's one
it's
thing
possessed.
I know. Listen, I know one thing, and that is anti-armor is always the way to go. I like liking the look of that launcher. That's all. That's all I'm going to say. I like the look of it.
Cap Chris says, is the car like a 007 Aston Martin? That's also a good question. What car is this? Is this
is
picture,
it a Nissan Rogue?
Is this picture accurate, or is this the AI creation?
This is the AI creation.
Is it a Saturn Vue with about 150,000 miles on it?
It's a Fiat Cinquecento.
It's just a family van.
It's a Honda Odyssey, a Chrysler Town and Country.
Oh no, here comes the demon Mazda.
Do you want to hear what
Here it comes.
ChatGPT had to say about this?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, so the evil doll weapon rocket launcher quirk screams out names of attack before using them. Dragon Ball Z style, which is cool but gives away its moves. Advantage, highly mobile, probably small and hard to hit, psychologically terrifying. Weakness, yells its attack, so no surprise factor, probably can't take too many hits. Demon-possessed car, weapon holy hand grenades, Monty Python style, assuming yes. Cursed, explodes if it stops moving, so like Speed meets The Exorcist. Advantage: big, fast, hard to kill, and possibly immune to psychological tricks. Weakness: needs constant motion. Terrain and obstacles are a problem. The fight:
This
the
thing
evil
seems
doll
more of a
starts
danger
strong by
to
doing a
itself than
dramatic
anything else.
Doing a dramatic jump and screaming "Rocket Chaos Blast" launches a rocket. Demon car, being fast, swerves and dodges. Holy hand grenade is launched through the sunroof, but it has to keep driving or it's toast. Doll is agile, dodges, maybe it hops on the roof like It's Fast and Furious Cursed Edition. But here's the trick: the car can't stop and the doll can exploit that. If the doll's clever enough to bait the car into a dead end or a ditch, the car's done, kaboom, game over. But if the car hits the doll even once, it's Ragdoll City, just a splatter of stuffing and evil energy. Verdict: winner, the demon-possessed car, but only if it doesn't fall for train traps. It's a battle of brute force versus trickery. If the doll plays smart and sets up traps that force the car to stop, upset victory for the doll. Basically 60-40 in favor of the car, but what a movie that would be.
No. ChatGPT is
I mean,
high.
all the doll has to do is get in a strong concrete or brick building that has no like car entrance, and then just shoot the rocket at it. Car's hosed.
All it needs is the high ground.
I mean, literally, it's just got an Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's a
Well, it's literally the most equipped person that's probably in this entire thing to fight a demon-possessed car because it has a rocket launcher.
Yeah.
And it's small and hard to get to. It's a doll.
Listen, this Geo Metro with a grenade is toast. All right.
Cap Cruz says Knight Rider?
It sounds...
Oh.
Yeah. Well, we've got 2 for the evil doll.
That's the evil
What's
doll.
your verdict, Silver?
I'm for the evil doll. Look at that
Well,
thing.
sounds like the evil doll takes it.
High ground, Anakin.
I hate you.
Ah.
All right, evil doll
That car
moves on.
hates
Demon-possessed
sand
car
and
explodes in a fireball. And next week we will have Hermione.
What?
Yeah,
Armed
they get
with
really silly.
Hermione armed with a shotgun that fires shotguns against a vampire slayer with a chainsaw that's trapped in a potato sack.
Well, first of all, Hermione's a loser, and if she doesn't have magic, then what is she? She's just some stupid girl that's got attitude.
When God Leviosa.
Yeah. It's got to be the vampire slayer. Like this is got to be the vampire slayer.
Nah, it's gonna be the shoddy, baby.
She shoots shotguns from her shotgun Ross.
He's like,
Shotguns weigh like 8 pounds. If they're going
Nothing.
any sort of clip, that's gonna
Barrel.
kill you.
Literally, this is a young schoolgirl shooting a shotgun that doesn't hit people with explosives. With explosive, it hits people with a shotgun.
Well, we're giving away it. Listen, we can't give away this for free, all right? We gotta save it.
Save that fight. Well, everything's changing. Much like the world and entropy, everything's changing. So...
Changes.
Gotham City.
Gotham City!
Some things stay the same. Like Gotham City.
Like Gotham City. The city of justice.
City of Love. And City of Peace, which isn't Gotham City whatsoever.
None of that is Gotham. But
That's
whatever.
a lie.
You know, my favorite part of the
Nothing but
fact that I tracked down some of his music videos is I watched a couple, and now I'm just getting recommended music from him. Which is funny because it's like the internet purged all of the official stuff, so it's all like somebody recorded on their VHS player music videos.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And posted on it.
What, a guy can't go to prison anymore?
No.
Jesus.
Can't go to prison for bad reasons.
I mean, listen, they may have been, but those music videos were bangers, all right? Leave them up. It's history, baby.
Space Jam. Regardless, a special podcast. And you know what doesn't change as I delay is the ending.
If you like the show, follow Rhett, Jason, Ross, and Silver, the world's most lethally stupid internet personalities, on Twitter at DG Podcast or on Instagram at Distracted Gamers. If you liked or hated what you heard here today, you can email them at thedistractedgamers@gmail.com and share your feelings. Not that Jason would care, since he hasn't any, of course.
Oh my God, it's so juicy.